you are listening to Dr. Troy Munson with Words of Radiance. Now here is your host, Dr. Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Words of Radiance. And about 6 months ago, we did a 3-part series on forgiveness, but I want to rehash it a little bit because as I listen to people, as I listen to clients, friends, family, all these folks that come to me and report, the woes of the world. And I listen to them, and all they are driving more and more pain into themselves. And I want to unpack that in a way that you can see it for what it is and get a revelation yourself about what's happening in your own mind when you build up an offense or an accusation or a judgment against another individual. Now, let's just take something that's near and dear to most of our hearts. As Americans, or if you're in another country, as you might see your own government officials and what you like and dislike about what they're doing. Some are great, some are not. And it's real easy to be accusatory and to blame and condemn. It's real easy to take a stand against a group of people. It's real easy to pick one side of the spectrum, whether you're right or left, or maybe you've really done a great job spiritually and you're right down the middle and you don't mind. Well, good for you, but most of us, probably 98% of us, are struggling on one side or the other, and we see something happen like maybe you believe in masks, maybe you don't. Maybe you believe in inoculations and shots, and maybe you don't. And so there's all these things that are in our face right now that are really challenging us at a very deep level. And ultimately what it comes down to is if you want peace and value peace, you're going to want to give yourself forgiveness. And so why would you want to forgive yourself? What did you do wrong? Maybe that's kind of a question that you're thinking right now. I didn't do anything wrong. They're the ones. I get it. I love it. Thank you for bringing that attitude. If that's you, if not, you're like, I'm still with you, Dr. Troy. And so if we look into this mechanism within our brain, we see another individual take a stand, whatever. We see something that we don't agree that is right. The moment that we believe that they are not right, we've made them wrong within our mind. And now we start building up defenses within our mind. And maybe we feel like they've done something against us personally. Maybe they punched us in the face, or maybe they called us a name, or whatever they did. And so now we're grumbling and angry within our own mind and creating all these elaborate schemes and ramparts and siege towers and all these crazy things within our own mind against another individual. And ultimately what you've done, thinking all these things, is literally put chain upon chain upon chain around your own neck and shoulders. All the while you seek to do it to the individual that you are in severe dislike of, but all the time that you give it mind space, it is only you who suffers and only you who is technically wrong. Every time you try to make another individual wrong in your own mind, you're just abusing yourself. Now, if you can see it for what it is clearly just one time, I hope there's an aha moment where you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. All I'm doing is suffering, and the other person's out there living their life, and they're having a great time. And all you're doing is hating upon hate another individual or another group of people, or a situation in the government or in your local town or whatever it is. Maybe it's in your car. I don't know. But if you're the one grumbling and you're the one irritated and you're the one not at peace, you're the one suffering. So that is why forgiveness isn't necessarily for the other individual. It's for your peace of mind. It's for you to let go and begin to live your life and not continue to hold on to it and allow life to move. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be involved or proactive in trying to change the world for a better place. That's not we're saying that you just let everything happen to you and be a doormat. Hear that loud and clear. But it's allowing your mind to be at peace and not to struggle against what another person may or may have not done. Now, I have found myself in the middle of an argument where I have really been building up this whole scenario of how I think I'm right and they're wrong and how they harmed or whatever they did to me. And when I start spewing all of this irritation and anger at the other person, and they all of a sudden shed some light on what they were thinking and what was going on in their mind and in their day, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, I totally overblew this in my own head. I am so sorry. I get it. I see now how you were struggling and what you were dealing with and what you were doing. You ask anybody, how many times have they legitimately gone purposefully and tried to harm another individual? I mean, really just let them have it in a very evil, awful, vindictive way. There are not many people out there. Now, I will admit, there are indeed people out there that will do that. They have something wrong with their brain. But even that being said, if you knew somebody was completely insane and they were doing crazy, insane things, could you really hold them accountable for it? You really can't. And so our own insanity starts happening when we really start cranking it up in our head and watching these angry moments or these irritated moments or these offense-taken moments and let them cycle over and over in our head and play it over, and we're the ones suffering. But if you can see that for a moment and stop and say, you know what, I think I'm just going to live in forgiveness here. I'm not going to continue to dwell on this. I'm not going to continue to punish myself when all the while I want to punish somebody else. Because if you go to that person and actually punish them, you're going to find out that there's a whole lot of circumstances in their past that brought them to the point that they were at and that you didn't account for. And when you see it fully, you realize, you know what, I get it. I now have some compassion for what you went through and what you're going through. And I think I need to lend or at least extend an olive branch, so to speak, and say I'm sorry and deal some forgiveness. So before you make those kinds of errors that I have made and that maybe other people in your life have made toward you, when that was not your intention and they attacked you, and you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I don't even remember any of that I did, because they built it up in their own mind and made you the mortal enemy. And so if you've had that happen to you, if you've done it to other people, take note and begin to watch what your mind is doing and how it's creating enemies of everyone, instead of finding peace at home and letting go of all of its thoughts and all its things. Maybe you did legitimately have something significantly bad happen to you that was uncalled for, and it seemed to have damaged you in a very real way, and you're struggling with it even listening to me right now. The choice is that you can forgive it and now be at peace in your own mind and enjoy some peace more so in your life and some happiness, or you can continue to live in the past in that moment of what that person did in that one poor judgment and what they were experiencing in life and that they felt that they lacked, and so they attacked you because you were an easy target or whatever it is. But ultimately, when will be the point that you finally forgive them and let go so that you can enjoy happiness and be at peace? That's what we're really asking right now. So forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. Let your mind be at peace once and for all and move forward and go beyond what it is. Don't not have a very strong no when it comes to not good people in your life. Very much kick them out if they're there and they're toxic. Have a very strong no. I'm not saying don't say no to people. I'm saying have a very good doorman in your mind, but also have a very easy and quick forgiveness man in your mind too. So I hope that came across well. If you have questions, concerns, if you have more comments about forgiveness, by all means, text me, message me, happy to respond. We will eventually get into the rightness of each individual, but that is beyond the scope of this particular podcast today. But look for that one in the future, the rightness of each individual. We're going to talk about that. That may even help more with the forgiveness aspect. So until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Words of Radiance.